a private-public partnership.
Yeah, sure.
And I've got a couple of points. The first point is our project was promoted by a local public authority, but sits within a national transport infrastructure, so that any vagaries within the infrastructure affect the business model of the project. So that I would first of all ask that what you would intend to do, should there be a change of government, to support these projects which have a good business model and they need investment in the transport infrastructure. The second point I would like to make, and I'm sorry if I'm pinching too much time, is when you talk about deregulation, our project was built under a thing called the Transport and Works Act. The Transport and Works Act was designed to develop complex transport infrastructure outside the confines, the constriction of local authorities and sometimes regional authorities. My experience is that within the Transport and Works Act, it always says you can do this by agreement. Because people are comfortable with what they've done for many, many years, if you want agreement from your neighbouring local authorities, you've got to follow the system that they've done for many years, and it frustrates the enabling legislation which was designed to take the constraints off us.
Hi, Ross Smith from the North East Chamber of Commerce. Just wondering about some comments which you were quoted as having made in the press last week about a review of policy around regional economic development, if you could explain that a little further. And also, when talking about that issue earlier, you used the word local a lot, and I'm wondering how local is local, because the North East is perhaps different from other regions in being roughly the size of a large city region economy in other parts of the country, rather than the size of other regional economies.
Yeah, Ian Malcolm, leader of South Tyneside Council. Can I first of all welcome your commitment to reduce the number of quangos that we have, and if there is a change of government, the quicker the standards board and the quicker is abolished. The standards board.
The standards board.
Yeah, the quicker they're abolished, and the quicker the PCTs are brought under local authority control, the better. But my question relates to the regional development agencies. David Cameron is on record of saying that it will be a decision for every region to determine whether or not they wish to have a regional development agency, and where there is demonstrable support for a regional development agency in a particular region, it will be left alone. Within the North East, we're only a small region. We have a strong regional development agency working very closely with the public sector and the private sector, and is scrutinised by the Leaders Board in the region. Can I have a commitment from the Shadow Secretary of State that we will be able to retain the Regional Development Agency for the North East if it can show demonstrable support for its operations in this region?
I think that's an interesting point at which to break.
Okay. Let me start with transport. I mean, in my much reshuffled career, I was in the Transport Department back in the Ice Age, so the Transport and Works Act, I can remember the argument, and I'm interested to hear you still having the argument, but I'd just take that on board. But I'm in no position to sort of set off on modernising the Transport and Works Act. It's interesting to hear that you're still facing, I might say, the old problems when you try to go forward. As far as transport infrastructure as a whole is concerned, one of the things that's extremely important, given that everybody but Gordon Brown knows we're going to have to make cuts in public expenditure on a pretty stiff scale compared with what we're used to, is to protect essential infrastructure investment. I mean, the traditional way of cutting public expenditure in this country, when past governments have felt the need, and I would say before us, but it used to come up a bit now sometimes, is in the end you wind up cutting most of the capital programmes. That's why we used to deliver first-class public services sometimes from clapped-out, falling-down buildings all over the country. The public, the voters, get less upset if you cancel the future than if you tackle the present, because they don't know it's going to happen, so you can cut it. And the contract doesn't belong to a trade union, so you cut that. That is a disaster. Not just me, George Osborne as well, is well seized with the fact that when we get public expenditure and borrowing under control, it must not be at the expense of essential infrastructure investment, because our recovery, in part, is going to be based on addressing some of the inadequacies that still exist in the basic infrastructure of this country. That's why we invented the private finance initiative. We get some private finance in. In my opinion, the PFI has been mismanaged, and the downside was always the risk that people would be tempted to use it just to spend a lot of money off balance sheet. It's meant to be a genuine transfer of risk to get the benefits of tight control and good management skills in both the construction and management of what you're building. And there have been some. You've got to have people with the expertise to negotiate the contracts. We had some pretty expensive PFI contracts in recent years, and people in business are quite used to negotiating this sort of contract. Not every civil servant or public authority is. And so we have to make sure that you do it properly, and that you do find a way of ensuring that the infrastructure is not, taking the big hit when it comes to constraining public expenditure. That is, I think, the biggest sort of, relevant part of addressing the transport needs of the country that we are facing up to and planning for. As far as the regional development agencies are concerned, we are about to, I hope, issue a further statement. But the key thing is we are extremely keen, as I made clear, on business development. Absolutely important. The best bits of it, not just giving grants to keep a company going for another 2-3 years, but actually business development of the kind that everybody switched onto here, because it's what everybody's talked about and given examples of, and regeneration, which we still require as well. And as I said, I am quite convinced that it's best delivered in local partnership. And business-led, in my opinion, is the best way of doing it if you're talking about things that are actually meant to be benefiting the business, the local economy. And over the years, going back to when we started TEX and everything, we've always tried to get business leadership into everything from skills training, but certainly business development and regeneration. And as David has made clear, we will be guided by local opinions, genuine local opinions, from the leaders of the business community and from the leaders of the local authorities, who can form the development partnership that is, in the opinion of the people who know local conditions, best judged to deliver. Some places certainly won't keep their regional development agency. The regional development agencies are what's left of John Prescott's regional government. Except for a time we had regional development agencies, regional assemblies, regional offices of government. We lost the assemblies, regional offices of government are there, but and the regional development agencies have grown. If it's the judgment of the locals that whole regional approach, and you've yourself, obviously, Mr. Chairman, put more of the arguments for it because of the nature of the North East, that's fine. Whenever I came to the North East in the past, I thought North East, obviously thought of the North East, but I got used to the fact that Wearside was not Teesside, was not Tyneside. And we will see. And some people are getting in early with their opinion. The best thing that we all have a common interest in developing is the most cost-effective way we have to get most bang for your buck. I mean, reform is going to be the name of government for the next few years. It has to be. So what do the people who are seeking to get the local benefit think is the best way of organising it? Which means that you don't have too big a tower block, don't have ever-growing numbers of officials each year, don't produce too many glossy documents. What actually is going to deliver best for the local economy and produce most difference on the ground?